There might be a reason why Oda didn't show us Gecko Moria nor Perona in the latest chapter. Back in chapter 1081, we saw that Perona was the one who released Koby from his cell, and Koby promised to help release Gecko Moria as he was escaping too. But we skip over to chapter 1087, today's chapter, and we see that Koby has not mentioned Moria once. And since there was a little bit of a time skip, I think it's safe to assume that Gecko Moria has been released from prison. He is on this island roaming around somewhere. There is the possibility, of course, that Koby never released Moria, but I don't think Koby's a liar, right? Koby is a lot of things. He's gullible, he sometimes just straight up turns off his brain, but let me tell you, I think Koby is a man of his word, and not to mention, back in chapter 1080, he even said it himself that he teamed up with pirates. So I think he was true to his word when he told Perona that he would rescue Gecko Moria. Which now begs the question of where is he and what will he do on this island. So we end this chapter with Avalo Pizzaro gearing up to destroy Garp's battleship. And we're all wondering, who's going to save the battleship? Is it Tashigi? Is it Bogard? Is it a third party like Sengoku or Suru? We have no idea yet, because Koby, Helmeppo, and Goose are just watching this all happen, and same with Garp. They're just watching as a giant hand is about to destroy their only way out of here. Who is going to stop this? That is the million-dollar question. See, I'm gonna go out on a limb, a crazy shot in the dark, and I'm gonna say that the person who destroys Avalo Pizzaro's hand and maybe even fights off the Blackbeard commanders will be Gecko Moria. And hear me out, Gecko Moria does not like the Blackbeard Pirates, not one bit. They killed his best friend, they killed Absalom. Gecko Moria came here for revenge, and he didn't get it. Because Blackbeard, because Shiryu, and all the rest of the boys here, Gecko Moria was imprisoned. And now that he has escaped, I would assume that he would want revenge to some extent. And not just that, but he would also want to leave this island. And if Garp's battleship, I'm assuming, right? We don't know how Perona showed up here, but if Garp's battleship is the only ship that they could commandor to get out, I feel like he would save it. Of course, though, I don't want to lock myself into that one train of thought, because even if Gecko Moria isn't the one who saves that battleship, I do believe that Gecko Moria will end up helping Garp and the Sword members, because they're honestly the only people kind of on his side. Like, when you really boil it down, the Blackbeard Pirates beat him up, killed his best friend, and imprisoned him. Whereas Koby, or at least the Sword members in general, they helped free him and the other prisoners. So I feel like he kind of owes them a favor in a weird way. So while he doesn't have to be buddy-buddy with Garp, Koby, and everyone, I feel like he would at least do them a solid and help them while they're on this island, while they have a common enemy. And also, something that I did find kind of interesting is that when you go back to chapter 556, it is titled Justice Will Prevail. And that ties in perfectly to what Garp says at the end of this chapter. He says, "Justice will prevail, Koby, don't lose your head." But what's funny is that if you go a chapter before that, chapter 555, Oda ended that chapter with Little Oars Jr. throwing out his hand towards Ace, kind of similar to the hand we have at the end of this chapter with the Avalo Pizzaro trying to destroy Garp's ship. And hey, this might sound a little bit like a conspiracy theory, but in chapter 555, when we saw that giant hand, it was stopped by none other than Moria. And also, one more thing I do want to throw out there, but I mentioned that Garp's ship might be the only way for Moria to escape, the only real ship that he can take. But that might not be true. Thriller Bark could still be somewhere near, because when Moria came to Hachinosu about 100 chapters ago, he showed up with Thriller Bark in tow. There's an entire island ship around here somewhere. So there is another chance of Moria escaping. So even if Garp's battleship gets destroyed, he could even take the Sword members along with him. I don't know why he would do that. Maybe he would be repaying a favor to Koby, but that always is an option. TLDR, don't underestimate Moria and what he can do. The funny thing about Moria is that I think a lot of people undersell him. And to be fair, I do that too sometimes. He's not my favorite villain. You know, I love villains, but Moria, he's not exactly in my top 10 to say the least. But I don't want to undersell his ability. The man can create zombies, he can steal shadows, he can boost someone's power. And I feel like he could do that here. With Garp running amok on this island, with Garp destroying random Blackbeard pirate fodder left and right, Moria has a lot of corpses to reanimate. And not just that, but if we want to get wacky with it, there's even a scenario where Moria could steal shadows and either put it in himself, which I think would kind of be a waste, or he could give the shadows to Garp and he could become Nightmare Garp, right? A lot of people actually like Nightmare Luffy. That was a fan favorite back in Thriller Bark. So imagine if he did that for Garp. Imagine what a Nightmare 100 Shadow Garp would look like. Of course, though, that is like borderline fanfiction, but I just want to throw out all the possibilities that could happen when Moria joins the battlefield. And who's to say that Moria is even the same warlord that we knew back in Thriller Bark and Marineford? Because, you know, back in Wano, when we got the Kaido Moria flashback, Moria had a prime form. He was that guy. He clashed with Kaido back in the day. He was very powerful. But the minute he lost to Kaido, he let himself go. He started relying on his corpses to do all the dirty work. So he didn't really do that much fighting. He didn't do any training. But now, we're post-time skip. He lost his best friend. He got thrown in prison because he's weak and lost to the Blackbeard crew. I feel like there's a chance that he could have a prison body, as silly as that sounds. I could be looking too deep into this, but I do feel like there's a reason why Oda didn't show us Moria back in chapter 1080 or chapter 1081. Oda decided to show us Perona, but not Moria. They didn't show us Kobe talking to Moria. They didn't show us Kobe releasing Moria. That guy was hidden off screen. And I feel like there's a reason to that. Maybe he's been hitting the Uncle Iroh regiment while in prison. Maybe when we see Moria, he's gonna be slimmed out, six-pack abs, just like he was when he fought Kaido. Woo! And let me tell you, if that is what's happening with Moria, and him and Perona show up on this battlefield and help Sword, I actually think Garp and the rest of the boys here have a solid chance of escaping. And of course, this doesn't negate the theory that Sengoku, Suru, or somebody else from the Marines might actually show up here and assist. I think that's still in the cards. But you know who is in the cards for sure? Moria. Because we don't have to guess if Moria is coming or not, because he's already here. He's on this island somewhere, incognito mode right now. So it's really just a matter of time until Moria shows up and does something. You guys know how from this chapter, we're all sitting back and we're like, oh, if Garp dies, Luffy's gonna want to fight Blackbeard. Dragon's gonna want to fight Blackbeard. Sengoku's gonna want to fight Blackbeard. What let me tell you? Shiryu killed Absalom, his right-hand man. I feel like Gecko Moria would want to at least exchange blows with Shiryu, especially since he's on this island. I feel like it's in the cards, and I'm super excited to hear what you guys think about this. Do you think Moria could change the tides of battle? And also, shoutouts to Perona, because she can do things as well. She can cause massive explosions with her ghost, she can turn people into negative husk of themselves, and the only person that we have seen thus far that is able to resist Perona's negativity was Usopp. Like, imagine if she goes around and uses her negative ghost on everybody, that could be huge. That could give everybody a chance to actually escape. Once Moria and Perona make their reappearance here at Hachinosu, it is going to change the tides of battle. Like, imagine Moria using Shadow Asgard. He ingests 1,000 shadows and he becomes bigger than Pirate Island itself, big enough to split the island in half. And that was pre-time skip Moria, right? Like, I feel like they could make a difference here. But yes, with that being said, let me know what you guys think about this down below. Thank you for tuning into this mini video. Like I said, normally I wouldn't do this, but I feel like Moria and Perona were kind of thrown to the sidelines for a reason. It kind of seems like one of those things that Oda wants you to forget about, just so that when they make their appearance, it's going to be all that more impactful and all that more surprising. And to show you guys how well Oda's been doing that, I realized that a lot of people kind of forgot that Perona and Moria were even here, myself included, so I felt like it was worth the small video, and I really appreciate you guys for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will catch you guys at the One Piece chapter 1088 spoilers, which should release in a few days, and or if you watch me in Parts collab, I'll see you tomorrow. But yeah, my name is Sai, and I'm signing out. Peace.